Hey everyone, my name is Chris with the Dice Tower. I'm going to be looking at Rococo Deluxe's solo mode. Now, Tom already did a review of the full version of the game, and I'm going to go into this assuming that you have an idea of how the game's played. I'm not going to be talking about how the regular player part of the game works, just how the solo deck is. So let's go to the overview, I'll show you how it plays, then we'll come back for my thoughts. So I have everything set up here for a solo game. The regular player who's playing by themselves is just going to have their normal deck of cards and will take actions just the same. So in fact, we're not even going to worry about them for this overview, and instead we're going to focus on the computer or the AI, whose name is Madame Dubarry. These are her solo cards used only for this version of the game. How it works is instead of using the regular action deck, she's going to be dealt 4 cards face down into her ready area at the start of each round. On her turn, whether she goes first or second, depending on who got the first player token last, she will simply flip over one of her cards. In this case, she's going to take the Gather Resources action, which takes place over in this area of the board. You look down here and you see that she's going to gather the resources depicted on the furthest right space of each of the 3 drawers. So we'll discard that card and take the action. These get removed from the game. She collects them. These are the only things that she will collect during the course of the game, because at the end of the game, every 2 of these tiles that she have is going to be worth 1 point. That would be her entire turn. If at any point she's unable to perform the action in its entirety at all, she will be rewarded 3 victory points instead. So say the next card we revealed was this, because this action is already represented and done on the board, she would get 3 points instead. So that's what all a turn looks like. Let's look at the rest of the actions that she has. The next thing she can do is she can make an outfit. So she's going to make the second outfit from the right. So starting from the right, move over. She will craft this one here and put her trademark disc on it like normal. But where is she going to place it? With that, you will flip over the top card of the deck of the unused cards, and you'll see that it shows an area. In this case, the bottom right hall. And then she'll place it out into the bottom right hall with priority of taking coins first and then resources, but always starting in these golden areas. So she's going to take that, which is going to make it easier for her to win the majority. So now this action would be done, and it would be discarded. The player would take their turn, come back to Madame Dubarry. She'll flip over the next action cards. And so the next of her action cards, this one, is to hire a new employee, a new apprentice or journeyman. So that takes place over on this part of the board. And which one is she going to hire? The first from the left. So when she does that, she takes this employee card and she puts it in her employee deck, which is functionally out of the game. It is removed. And instead, what will happen is she will take 1 extra action card and put it into her available pile. Because in the normal game of Rococo, if you buy a new worker, that person goes active into your hand, so this kind of represents that. Let's look at the next action card. On her next turn, she would fund a decoration. And since there are decorations in different areas, the kitchens, the statues, the musicians in the different halls, the card will show which one she's going to do. In this case, it is the kitchens. So she'll always fund the least expensive one. So she'll take her trademark token and place it here into the 6-cost one, since it's the least expensive. And the last type of action that she'll take on her last turn is to take first player. So she can take first player token so that she will get to go first next turn, and she will get 3 prestige points or 3 victory points for taking that action. Remembering that if at any time she's unable to do the action in its entirety, she'll get 3 victory points instead. Now, there's a lot of different symbols here. Some of these symbols also represent if you're playing with the Jewelry Box expansion, which does come in the deluxe version of Rococo. But that's basically all Madame Dubarry is going to do. At the end of the game, you count up her points as normal, anything that she's funded, her statues for diversity of outfits, her actual points on outfits, if she has gotten all 5 of the different halls represented, count up her points. The only trick to it is that you have to remember that every 2 resource tiles that she has gathered over the course of the game is worth 1 point. So let me start my final thoughts by saying there's two things that this solo version of the game does incredibly well. One is that it has a win-loss condition. You are playing against Madame du Barry's score. You have to exceed her score. Meeting or having fewer points than her is a loss. And I tend to like when there's a win-loss condition, and I think a lot of solo players appreciate that, having a target, but it's also kind of a moving target that is based on what the card interactions come out and do. She can earn more points or fewer points in a given game, and so you don't have a specific magic number. You have to hit 75 points or whatever. It kind of depends on what's happening as the course of the game goes on. But I love having a win-loss condition. Second of all, there's very little upkeep and management to do in between your turns. She flips over a card, and you do that action. And so I love that you're not spending more time administering the computer player or the AI turn as opposed to playing your own game. There's a lot that I think is valuable in that, because then I'm playing the game more, and that's what I want when I play a game solo, rather than having to manage everything. Now, there's some great solo mode versions of games that do that, where they lean more into having a lot of if-then conditions and different triggers, and plenty of those are good. But I do love a streamlined version of an AI or Automa deck or whatever you want to call it. I think that this is a good implementation for this game, seeing as how Rococo is honestly not that heavy of a game to begin with. It is definitely meaty, and so I feel like the computer opponent, is good for that. It cuts the market thin of new cards that you might want to buy. It cuts the market of resources available to you that you want to buy from. And so now, if you lose, and it does sometimes feel like, oh, it's just luck of that card draw, as opposed to something that could have been more complex. Say, when you flip over a card and it says build an outfit, and then you look at the whole row of outfits and say find the one that's most valuable and gives the most blah 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 or pays the most money, but it's also this, that, or the other, right? AI modes that do have that make it feel more like a specific challenge rather than kind of a card flip that, oh, I won or lost based on the card flip. But I happily would sacrifice complexity for smoothness as I'm playing these types of games. And so I'm grateful that this is a new thing included in the deluxe edition of the box. I think it's actually possibly my favorite part about this printing over the previous printings. The deluxe bits and all that stuff, that's fine. I think the game is a bit excessive, but the fact that it did come with these 25 cards, for me to be able to play this solo whenever I want to, I think that's the best part of the deluxe printing, and I hope that people who haven't, gotten this new one, if that's something that would make or break your decision, I think that's worth knowing about. So I highly approve of this one. I really liked this version of the game. And so that is my thoughts on the solo mode for Rococo Deluxe Edition. My name is Chris, and thank you for watching.